So thank you very much everyone for joining us for this Motivation in Isolation series of events. We have put together a number of events to really support everybody during this time of restricted access to the outside world, where we're all living much more in a virtual world. So as event organisers, our normal profession is to bring everybody together face to face, but we can't do that. So we're doing the second best, which is bringing you all together virtually. And we've got a lot of speakers and people who are coming to deliver some motivating and supportive wellbeing sessions over the coming weeks while we're all in lockdown. So today we're joined by Kiki Kirby, and she is going to be talking to us about some powerful daily habits that we can use to support our wellbeing at this time. So I'm now going to hand over to Kiki.
All right, thank you so much. So hello everybody. If you just bear with me, let me just get the technical screens shared and everything. So it's a real honor to be sharing well-being, daily habits. I could talk about this all day, every day, and it's lovely to see some familiar faces on here, some people I know, but also some new faces. So welcome to this masterclass, to this webinar, to this online event, and thank you to Zest for putting these on. I think this is such an amazing opportunity for us to be able to learn in a completely different way. Who would have thought that we would be learning in a way like this in this current time? So I wanted to welcome you to what we're going to share right now during this masterclass. So what I would say is I anticipate each of you have got a pen and you perhaps maybe got a notebook. If you haven't, I'd quickly go and get some because my session is great. Zach, you're organized. I can't see everybody's video. So if you haven't got one, please go ahead and get them because there will be lots of practical things that I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to get you to think about a lot of things. We will be sharing, the team will be sharing the slides afterwards for you to go away and have a look because there'll be a lot of things that, that you can go back and reflect on. So welcome, let's get started. So today's workshop, we're going to look at well-being and creating powerful daily habits. So we're going to look at developing your wellness and your well-being daily. And this is something where I talk about with developing, it means it's something you're going to develop every single day. It doesn't just mean you're going to click your fingers and you're going to take action one day and it's all going to fall into place. We're going to look at how to manage your mindset cycle, how to focus on your current mental well-being, creating powerful daily habits to support your well-being using habit trackers, and then teaching you tools to create a new routine from work and to slow down. So probably for many of you, you've already started to slow down. You're probably right. Your body's probably started to relax and to slow down. And now it's about working out how can you move forward. Or some of you are still in that high pace of, still working and hustling and trying to juggle so many different things. And then learning how to say no when there's too much already going on, and for you to create a way that's right for you. And also to understand the strategies of how to deal with stress and to work smarter, because the key thing with everything I'm going to share with you today, it's really simple if you've got the right mindset and if you've got the right discipline. So how does that all sound to you? And I think that the other key thing is to really acknowledge that each of you on here today will have come for very different reasons. And perhaps maybe in the comments, you can maybe let us know what's currently going on for you, why you decided to join this workshop. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself very briefly and why I can so passionately talk about well-being and stress and slowing down. So I'm Kiki, I'm a business and life coach. I've got a coaching and consultancy business. My background is HR and recruitment, and I've worked in the coaching space for the last 5 years. But the reason why I'm so passionate about what I'm going to share with you is because I've had 3 very significant life-changing events that have happened to me which have affected my health in one way or another. One of them being grief. So I lost my mum to cancer when I was 13, which then impacted me not dealing with that grief until 8 years ago, when then I was working in a high pressured, a very stressful environment in recruitment and HR, working lots of hours, high pace, and I had burnout. And so what that meant was I didn't leave the house for 6 months. I didn't want to be alive. My mental health was terrible. And then that's then how I then rebuilt life after that, of focusing on my health and my well-being. And then to add something else in the last 2.5 years, I had cancer. So I had a cough, I went to the doctor, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So when I share a lot of what I'm going to share with you in here, it's from my professional experience, but it's also from my personal experience. And so I'm really passionate about helping people to slow down, to grow your mindset, to seek your life purpose. So for every single one of you on here, you have an opportunity in your work and also in your life, whether that's been, you know, serving your children, or in your marriage, or in your business, or in your career, whatever that is for each of you. But it's about understanding what's important for you, and how I might slow down might be different to how you would slow down, and what's important to you and your well-being might be different to the rest of the people on here. But the key thing is it's about finding out what's important to you. So that's just a little bit about us. We also do a lot through coaching and consultancy, but I'm not going to go into all of that detail now. But I'm really passionate about sharing these sorts of things, because over the 20 years, I've seen everything and everything. Even through my cancer journey, I saw people who were dying on their sick beds. Last year, I lost 6 friends to cancer. And so there's no more important thing than looking after our health and our well-being. You know, if you're on your deathbed, you're not going to be worrying about how much work you completed, how much money you build, but you're going to be thinking about your health and how much more you can focus on your well-being. So if anything, I just want to share some of the experiences and the tools that I use for myself, but also with my coaching clients. So there's going to be lots of thought-provoking questions. And actually, when my team saw the slide, they said, Kiki, this is a slide with tablets. And no, it isn't a slide with tablets. It's your perception of how you see it. So I just had to drop that in there. But I'm going to get you to think about a lot of things, because this is about questioning where we are right now, our behaviors, our habits, our purpose, why we do the things that we do, and then how we're going to create change, because we can only create change when we know exactly where we are right now. So I'm really passionate about getting you to think about things. And I'm going to ask you some questions, and also I'm going to get you to go away and look at some of these things. So excuses come up when it comes to people's well-being, when it comes to people creating new habits. And I'm sure each of you have said a lot of these reasons a lot of these excuses when it comes to your well-being. Well, I'm not going to focus on this now. I'll do it someday, or tomorrow I'm going to practice on drinking more water, or do you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to start my exercise, and then tomorrow comes, and tomorrow comes, and tomorrow never comes, and it's another day. And so I want you to perhaps maybe just jot down some of the excuses that you're playing right now. Are you playing the excuses of my diaries back to back, or do you know what? I'm juggling so much, homeschooling the children, or people aren't buying right now, or whatever that is. In time, I will do this, because the reality is those excuses are going to get in the way of your well-being, and only you are in control of the excuses that you're making. So it's about replacing those excuses. So what excuses are you coming up with? And the next thing is it's about understanding your mindset. And it's 80% mindset and then 20% strategies. And the strategy is how in which we live every single day. So I want you to have a think for a moment. If I was to probably interview you and open up your mindset right now, what would be going on in your mindset? Would it be that you've got a very negative mindset? Or do you have a growth mindset? Do you have a very nurturing mindset? Is your mindset very focused? Because once you're very clear with what mindset you've got right now, you're then able to create change. And so if your mind is in the focus of, do you know what, I'm going to really focus on my well-being in this time, and there's no better time while we're in isolation to be focusing on your well-being. One thing I hadn't realized was how easy it is to exercise at home. That's been quite a journey for me, getting back after chemotherapy. I've really struggled with exercise, and I've been more self-disciplined at home to be doing exercise than I was going to the gym. But the key thing is it's about making it work for you. So what state is your mindset at the moment, if I had to open it up? And how would you describe your mindset currently right now? The next thing I also wanted us to look at is time. So we all on this call here, however many of us are on here right now, have the same 24 hours in the day. But the key thing is it's how we hustle through that time. It's how we use that time. And it's what pace we work at through that time. And very often what we're doing is we're living in a work-focused, I've got to work 10, 12 hours a day. I've got to be on calls constantly, or I've got to do this at a certain time. But the reality is you manage your time. And so are you using time as an excuse for your well-being? Because only you will manage your time. Only you will manage how you use every minute of the day. And I want you to also have a think about, and perhaps maybe you do a little bit of analysis on your diary from last week, as how and what was going on in your diary last week, and how do you want it to be differently, because you manage that time. And the key thing is about identifying at what times you want to do things and really creating the structure, which is what I'm going to share with you shortly, of how to do this. Do you perhaps need to wake up slightly earlier, or perhaps do you just need to let your body just go with the flow? A number of years ago, I stopped having an alarm clock and I let my body go with the flow more and just wake up naturally. And that worked really well. That definitely helped me in focusing, coming out of burnout into a better routine. But then in January this last year, I thought, do you know what? I want to move things up another level. I want to step my well-being to another level. So I started getting up way earlier in the morning, and I've got a really nice streamlined routine in the morning to focus on my well-being. But the key thing with this is about you trialing what's going to work with you. I stopped having a phone and being on social media and connected after 8 o'clock. Now that was a habit I had on my goals for over a year to get still into place. I still don't have it. I still don't have that goal focused yet, that habit focused. But the key thing is it's about challenging yourself with some of these times each and every day, and how you're using your time, what you're choosing to fill your time with. Are you wasting your time? Because we can be wasting our time so much right now. And the key thing is it's about building a strong mindset, because once you've built that strong mindset, the body will follow. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to drink 3 liters of water a day, then your body is going to drink that water. Or if you say, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol in the week, or I'm only going to limit myself to 1 unit of alcohol, whatever that is, the body will follow. But the key thing is building that mindset first. So we've got that mindset, we've got the excuses, we've got that mindset, and then it's about stopping to do the things that aren't serving us. And you'll notice I've picked this particular image for a reason. It's obviously out in nature, which is beautiful, but it's quite rusty, it's a bit old, it's got some marks on it. And that's the thing with each and every one of us on this call today, is we are probably focusing on things that aren't serving us anymore. They're tatty, they're rusty. They, the habits that you've got back-to-back diary, perhaps, eating too much chocolate, sugar, whatever that is. What all of us here have got our own habits that aren't serving us. But it's time to create some new habits, and it's an opportunity now to stop, because when we come out of isolation, life will return in a completely different way. And the key thing is this is the best time to be practicing your well-being, because this is a continual journey. Some of these things I'm going to share with you now, I still have to do myself because they take a lot of discipline. So what things do you need to stop doing in your life that are rusty, that are old, that are not serving you, and that you need to stop doing them? If you think about a traffic light, it's about you stopping at that traffic light. And wellness is so important for us for so many reasons, which I'm going to go through shortly. But we've got to be stronger than our excuses and than your excuses. And I think something else that comes up very often when I'm coaching clients is people are waiting for the perfect environment. Well, when I'm this size, I'm going to then do this. Or when this environment is perfect, then I'm going to do this. And the reality is there's never, ever going to be a perfect time. The time is now. And so the key thing is it's about getting started and to make small changes to make big differences. And even if you start with making 1 change in the month of April, and then next month you make 3 changes, and then next month you make 6 changes. But the key thing is it's about getting started and not to focus on the perfectionism. Perhaps maybe in the comments, maybe you could let us know if you are perfectionist, because that was something I suffered with in the past, of trying to focus too much on everything being perfect. But the reality is nothing is perfect, and it's about how we live in the moment. So building be stronger than your excuses, and then avoiding the perfectionism, because what we learn in the mess, the magic happens in the mess, the magic happens in the struggle. That's when you learn so much about yourself. And so this is your mindset. So you've got your behavior, how you behave each and every day, how you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you drink your water, you drink your coffee, whatever that is for you. What is your behaviors in the day? And then it's about your action and your solution, which then produces your results, produces the performance with hard work, and then your attitude. But very often there's certain elements of this flow here that are missing. Perhaps we still perhaps we focus on our attitude, as our attitude isn't right, or the action we're taking isn't right. But we've got to focus on these key areas. So your behavior, your action, your results, your performance, and your attitude, because that's what's going to help your mindset each and every day. So what behaviors are you currently operating within your well-being and your wellness right now? What action are you taking daily, and what are the results that you're wanting to achieve? How do you want to feel? So I know for me, I want to feel calm, I want to feel balanced, I want to feel in flow. What do you want to feel? And perhaps let us know in the comments there. So by you focusing on the behavior and the action, that's going to produce the results of how you're going to feel. But the performance that's required is going to be a step up to what you normally do. But you're going to have a positive attitude, you're going to have a disciplined attitude, you're going to have a learning attitude in this process. And it's really about acknowledging what's missing for you in these key areas and really focusing on this. And so understanding the difference between well-being and wellness, and wellness and well-being is being spoken about so much over the last couple of years. Certainly in my days in HR and recruitment many years ago, people didn't really talk about burnout, mental health, compared to how it is now. And I wanted us to understand what the differences are, because there are differences. So our health is a state of being, and our health refers to physical, mental, and social well-being. And we need our health. So if we don't have our health, we can't function in any aspect of life. It's really, really difficult. So what state is your health at the moment? If you had to rate your health at the moment out of a scale of 1 to 10, maybe write that number down. What would you say? So 1 being the lowest and 10 being 10 out of 10. What number would you be at? And then wellness is the state of living a healthy lifestyle. And that's a lifestyle. So it's a healthy lifestyle. It doesn't mean you're going to be healthy today. It means you're going to be healthy every day. It means you're going to be focusing on your lifestyle every single day. I'm not going to just do this Monday to Friday. I'm going to live this every single day. And wellness is the aims to enhance your well-being, which affects your physical, your mental, and your social. And so the key thing is with your well-being and your wellness is making sure that you've got these 3 key areas focused on each and every day. And I'm going to share a little bit more how you can use that through habit trackers, but physical, mental, and social. So at the moment, if you aren't creating space for physical, mental, and social, it's really making sure that you're able to have these 3 things taken care of every single day. And what does it mean to have wellness? So it's an active process each and every day, making healthy choices to your healthy and fulfilling life. So like I said, it doesn't mean just for today or tomorrow, it means long term. And what I would say with this is this takes practice, but the more and more you focus on your well-being and your wellness, the more and more your body feels it, the more and more your body slows down, the more and more it wants that. So you'll probably notice at the moment you're feeling, compared to maybe where you were at before lockdown to where you are now, things in your body are probably feeling quite different to where you were a couple of weeks ago. And so if you think about creating a lot more physical, mental, and social well-being into your day, how much more fulfilling and wholesome you're going to feel. And wellness is also a dynamic process of change and growth. And that's something I'd say is to challenge your mindset, is that every day wellness is change and growth. It's not easy to exercise each day. It's not easy to get up early or to be disciplined and have lunch away from your desk, or to get out for a walk, or to homeschool with the children. These things aren't easy, but it's a dynamic approach that you're going to take. But the key thing is it's all of these things that will help complete these key areas. So how are you managing how effective your wellness is daily at the moment? And how do you want it to be? What changes do you want to make every day in these key areas? Because the change starts with you. And these are the key things around making sure that you've got well-being and wellness. We need these 6 key areas for our wellness and our well-being to be functioning really well. So emotional. So we really need to make sure that we are understanding, releasing, letting those emotions flow, because especially at this time right now, it's really important to listen to ourselves, to listen to our bodies. Spiritual, being connected to whatever spirituality that is for you, knowledge and learning, physical, social, and career and work. And these things are so important for our well-being and our wellness. And then creating a balance in our life. So, we work and we live. we have our work, and we have our life. But this is our whole being. And sometimes how we show up at work is different to how we show up personally. But the key thing is, I want to challenge you for you to make sure that you start incorporating all of this into your life every single day. So is it that you need to make some changes and you don't eat lunch at your desk? Or is it that you don't have back-to-back diary? Or is it that you start the day slightly later but you work a little bit later? It's about you really making out and working out whatever balance works for you. And the balance in your life is your physical, the physical activities you're taking, your professional experiences, being professional in your career, whatever that is for you, making sure there's pleasure in your life. So many things come up with when I'm working with a lot of my clients, a lot of the high performing and high achieving clients, where they just don't do things anymore that aren't pleasurable for themselves. There's not enough play. There's not enough creativity. And when I mean by creativity, I'm not just meaning drawing, but I mean creativity in what's important to you and what brings you pleasure. So if I look at the things that used to bring me pleasure 8 years ago, they aren't the things that bring me pleasure now. So it's about finding what are the things that are bringing you pleasure right now. Challenging your mental mindset, your spirituality, and your emotional and your social. So there is definitely a crossover in some of those lists, but it's understanding where you want to focus on in these key areas and taking steps in order to make changes in these key areas. So it's really simple. Busy is a choice. Stress is a choice, joy is a choice, and our pace is a choice. So we are in control of the pace that we're living at the moment, and it's all a choice. And I want to just encourage you to choose well, especially in this time right now, because what's going to happen is we're going to come out of this and you're going to reflect and you're going to say, do you know what, if only I could have used that time to do something a bit more productive, or used my time to focus on things differently. And we have a choice, a little bit like how the Zest team have created this. They chose well in a time like this to evolve and make changes, and that's an opportunity for all of us to create change right now. They chose well to create differences, the same as each and every one of you now. There's an opportunity for us to do life differently. There's an opportunity for us to do business differently. There's an opportunity for us to connect differently with our families. But let's choose well as people, because that's the most important thing. People sometimes think that we're forced to do things, that we're forced to live a life that we live, but we have the choice. The choice is on ourselves, and it's how we choose that. So I want you to just have a quick, brief look at this slide here and see which one stands out to you at the moment. So the up-down graph of success, strategy, whatever that other picture there is, structure, that stress slide, that stress picture there, and relax. So which one appeals to you the most, and have a real think about that, because again, it's about acknowledging where we are right now. So where you are right now, and then perhaps where you want to be by the end of April. Let's just focus on April. And at the end of April next week, I cannot believe it. And actually we're running another session on goals and strategy. So if you want to book on for that, that will be great. But acknowledging which one of these stand out to you at the moment, that you want to perhaps maybe focus on for the next couple of weeks before we finish up. And I see this number of chat. I'll go through the chats in a minute. We'll go through some of the questions in a little bit. And I just want to touch again on time and self-discipline and self-control, because these are the most important things that we need every single day. So again, if you had to rate your self-discipline right now and your self-control and your time on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you be? Because this takes practice. This takes practice every single day. And is it perhaps that you just need to refine on your self-discipline and your self-control, whether that be drinking more water, whether that be eating chocolates, whether that be lying on the sofa late at night, still watching Netflix at 12 o'clock at night, because we need our sleep. We need to be able to be nourishing ourselves in a really good state, especially in this time right now. Is it that we're checking emails at 3 o'clock in the morning, or we're on social media at 12 o'clock at night? Let's start putting in some really good self-control and discipline, because also, if you have got children, they're watching you right now and they're listening to you. So it's about showing them self-discipline. So if it's time to do homework now, if it's time to do schoolwork now, that's the time and that's the discipline. But making sure that there's different aspects in there that's playful for the children in that time, but it's about you making sure you create the routine that's right for you. I might just for a moment just check those questions. Should I look at them? So should I come back to them at the end? Let me maybe come back to them at the end. Yeah, I think we had said that, sorry. Okay, and then I want us to look at, so we've looked at mindset, we've looked at wellness, we've looked at time, we've looked at excuses. And what do you notice about the staircase? Are you somebody that is at the bottom of that stair and then you want to be at the top of the stair tomorrow? Because the reality is that's not going to happen. It's a step-by-step approach. And what you might notice is there's a bit of scenery, some nice hills up there, and there's a bit of a bridge over there, and it's a bit rusticy, and you know, it's a journey. And that's the thing with life, is it's a journey, it's a step-by-step approach. But very often people want to climb 5 steps before they've even started. So are you perhaps at the top of the staircase before you've even decided to start in the areas that you want to focus on with your well-being or your wellness or your habits? But make sure that you focus on a step-by-step approach. And it might be that you might be on that step for a long period of time. So for me, getting back to the gym, I've probably been back in the gym about a year, but it has been on and off, on and off. So I've probably only moved 3 steps, but I'm okay with that because I've recognized I can't go to the top. I have to, it is a staged approach. My body's very different. My health is very different. The recovery is very different. And it's not about comparing yourself to everybody else, because everybody else is going to have their own staircase and how they're climbing. So notice the journey around you. Notice what you notice, because this is an opportunity for self-discovery. You're going to learn so much more about yourself in this time. And it's about focusing on these key areas from where you are right now to where you want to be. So the key message here is, stop trying to jump to the top of the staircase so quickly. Just make it be a step-by-step approach. And so motivation starts with you. And very often we think, actually, I need to be motivated by a personal trainer or by somebody else. But the motivation starts with you. And you can never establish a personal relationship with yourself without opening up your own heart. And so you know what's going on in your internal dialogue. You know what's going on and the changes that you want to make. You know, each of you will have signed up for this for a particular reason, because you want to work on something in your powerful daily habits or in your family or in your work. But it's about inspiring yourself, and it's about creating a way that's right for you. Because what I'm sharing here with you, there might be certain elements that are good and that will be right for you, but there might be other things that aren't right for you. But it's about you creating a way that's right for you, because we all individual in our living. And then getting clarity with an action plan with steps for your habits and your behaviors. And it starts with you. So where would you say you're needing more motivation? And it's about deciding, committing, and focusing and succeeding in these key areas. It's really simple. It's a simple approach. And so your thoughts become your beliefs become your thoughts become your words, and your words become your action, and your action becomes your habits, and your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And it's really, really simple. All of this sits in your hands, and it's how you acknowledge where you are and what changes you need to make. So you've got your old habits and you've got your new habits. And I'm going to share with you some habit trackers and how you can start to manage this and how you can start to create some new habits. But the key thing is about acknowledging what are the old habits I want to get rid of, and then what are the new habits that I want to put in place. And so this is a number of different habit trackers that I've created over the last 6 years. And they work really well. I've got mine here that I put in place a couple of weeks ago when I started to feel a bit unmotivated, and I thought, you know what, I need some more structure. So that was the 6th of April. And it's really, I focus it on 5 key areas. So this is the work one, and then I'm going to share the personal one with you. You could use both, or you could use one of them. It's whatever's going to work for you. But how do you want to feel each and every day that you wake up, and what is your intention? And so what success mindset do you need every single day? And then in that habit tracker, you would put in there, well, I need to connect on 3 masterclasses a week, or I need to make sure that I'm doing physical activity each week, whatever that is for you in your habits. And then what connections and communication do we need each and every day? So for each of us, we're humans. We need connections. We need communication. Do you need to connect with your children every day? Do you need to communicate what's going on? Do you need to connect with your team, with your clients? And then what business work and action do you need to take each and every day? And then the results and the reflection. And that's probably the one thing that I see every single person, myself included, we don't look at the results or the reflection enough. So we look at things, so my habit tracker I look at in the evening, and I tick off what I've done and what I haven't done, and I'll share with you how you do that. But the key thing is maybe looking at where you're at the beginning of the week, and then where you want to be at the end of the week, and then looking at the results that you've taken and how you've got there. And then the other aspect is looking at your well-being and your wellness. Now, what you would do in the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is you would tick if you've done it, and then you would cross if you haven't done it. And the key thing is the magic is in the crosses. And what I've noticed and what I've seen with many of my clients over the years, what tends to happen is where you analyze the crosses is perhaps maybe you're setting too many goals, perhaps maybe you're not focused enough on that, but it can really tell a story on how you're noticing what is going on in there and what is going on with those crosses, and start to analyze these results. And this can really transform in how you're living every single day. So that's the work one, and this is the personal one, which is the one I tend to use a lot more because I focus on everything in one, but some people like to segment their life. So your health and your lifestyle. So in my box under health and lifestyle, some of the things that have been there over a period of time have been a certain amount of water, a certain amount of eating, a certain amount of exercise, walking the dogs at a certain time, no phone in the bedroom, no phone after 8 o'clock, those sorts of things. Mindset, creativity and learning, connections and community, me, myself, and my inner peace. And then how do I want to feel each and every day? And what is my intention in how I want to feel? And I would say the key thing is, and these will be all downloadable, which we can, when the slides get sent out, you can access them. The key thing is actually printing it off and actually having it visually in front of you every single day so that you're accountable to making those changes, because the changes won't happen on their own. And so it's about thinking about the success and what success you want. And it's about really getting the vision really focused. And it's about focusing on the idea, trying it, doing it again and again, and keep going. And that's what success is. But very often we're sitting at the thinking idea. So how many things on your well-being have you sat on and you're still thinking, and you've maybe been thinking for about 3 years? And how many ideas have you had, but you've maybe not taken action? And this is what success is. It's about trying it and finding a way that's right for you and getting that vision really, really focused. And half the time we're awake is spent on automatic behaviors. And so by slowing down, it gives you a real opportunity to also stop those automatic behaviors, stop saying yes to things perhaps maybe you shouldn't be saying yes to. And habits are a way for our brain to save energy. So if you have got habits in place, you're more likely to be stopping to think about things. And if you're focusing on no habits and no structure, no routine, that's taking so much up in the brain and energy wise. Habits are even tougher to break than you thought, way tougher, but it starts with you, and they're like a spiritual thing. So it's about creating one keystone habit that can change everything. So one decision you make will change everything, but the habits are at the core of everything we do. So I hope by now you're starting to think about some of the changes that you want to make. And I'm just going to touch on a few other points before we wrap up with some questions and some answers at the end. But boundaries. Our boundaries need to be so tight and rock solid. And this is really hard when you start to put habits in place, or you start to focus on your well-being. And it's a lot harder with the people around you, your loved ones or your teams or your work colleagues. But your boundaries, it's about you identifying what boundaries are important to you. So I'm not sure what some of your boundaries are, what you're saying yes to, what you're saying no to. Very often we're saying yes to the things that aren't serving us anymore, the relationships that aren't serving us, the work that isn't serving us, whatever that is. But it's about really understanding what boundaries am I going to have in place to make sure that I'm living a more purposeful life, that I'm focusing on my well-being and I'm focusing on my wellness every single day. So is it perhaps the boundaries are with your children, that they're not going to be on devices after a certain period of time? Is it perhaps maybe you're going to start having boundaries that I'm not going to work between 12:30 and 1:30 every day? Another organization I know have recently done that. Start to create some really powerful boundaries in place. And start to acknowledge, what are you saying yes to that isn't making you happy, or that isn't serving your health or your well-being, and what do you need to start saying no to? And this is a tough one. It's one that I have to focus on every single day. That's actually one I did have on my habit tracker towards the end of last year, was how many things could I say no to every single day? And actually, I might need to start adding that on again, because I say yes to lots of things, because when you're helping people and you want to change lives, you say yes to lots of things. But there's a key, we can only say yes to a certain amount of things, and we have to say no to a lot. I know Richard Branson is amazing at this. He only says yes to things that he's currently working on, and then everything else is a no. And he is so streamlined and really focused in these key areas. And it's about looking at what successful people do and how they focus on these key areas. I'm just going to touch on this before we move on to some questions and answers. But the really key thing is about working on getting your routine queued up, performing the action, having the routine, and then being a reward at the end of it. And the reward doesn't necessarily have to be a reward of something to eat or anything like that, but really giving yourself that reward for the work that you've done. And willpower is the most important habit that you need daily. And what people say is, obviously I've touched on that about automatic pilot, but it's about focusing on your habits. They tend to say that there's lots of stuff around this, is up to 30 days is where you then start to be able to pick up on a routine and it's focused. But really, I would say it's about 3 months, about 90 days. That you are really focused and continuing with that habit. But habits also reduce that cognitive load on the brain. There's a real pros and cons in order to focus on this, like if you think about brushing your teeth. Really focus on these key areas of the willpower and queuing up these habits that will focus you in these key areas. These are some great books here that I've written over the years. I've studied and read over. So there's Hal Elrod, who has written The Miracle Morning. He talks about daily habits before 8 a.m. He talks about getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and using these key areas. So silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing. But what I would say in these areas is it's about finding a way that's right for you. So some of these books are great. Simplify, that's one of the best books I've ever read. Decluttering the Soul, amazing and slowing down. But the key thing is it's about making it work for you. Gratitude is a really powerful thing. Journaling, this is the one that I've designed myself. I designed it when I had cancer. Just acknowledging what you're grateful for every single day. Beating the snooze button is the simplest way to change your life. Really, really simple. So the key thing is that acknowledging some of these personal development things, so being involved in some of these masterclasses, going away and reading. I'm probably at the moment reading about 2 books a week. I don't know how I'm finding the time to do that, but I'm nourishing myself in this, because I know when time goes back to normal in a different way, we might not be able to read as much. So soak in so much around personal development. I'm sure we can share lots of books if that's what you wanted also. So I want you to write down some of the old habits you're going to get rid of and some of the new habits you're going to put in place. And then there's ways, I will share shortly just some questions. Maybe we can send this out on the slides for you to have a look at. But with every workshop I run and every work that I do with clients, it's really important that you really reflect and take action. So I want you to maybe jot these down, and when we get the slides sent out, is really writing down what's the best thing that's going to happen to you now, and what's the next thing you'll plan to focus on. What help do you need right now in your work or your life? Your 3 main learning points. One thing you're going to implement immediately, and perhaps you can put the one thing you're going to implement immediately in the comments so we can keep you accountable, and how you will assess you for improving and developing, and who will help with this process. And then I guess it's over to for some questions. I've got another slide here of how you can connect with us on social media, and we've got lots of resources and lots of bits, but I think this will be a good opportunity to open up for questions, and over back to you.
Thank you so much, Kiki, for sharing so much with us there, and it's great that you're going to be coming back to do another session as well. If anybody's got any questions, as I've said, please do drop them into the chat function, or if you click on participants, you can also click the button that allows you to put up your hand, and we can come and unmute you if you want to speak directly to Kiki. I have had a couple of questions in. In terms of some of the questions that we've had, I think it's really interesting to see that we're in a world where we're talking very much more about kindness, we're much more compassion, we're celebrating our NHS workers and those that are at the sort of the front line of taking care of people. what are some of the practices that we can adopt as individuals that means that we can continue to stay kind and compassionate, and this can become a behavior rather than some of the kind of negative behaviors that perhaps we are moving away from now that we've entered into this period of isolation?
It's always been there, actually, interestingly, but have we been present enough to notice that? And so I think that's something for ourselves to take acknowledgement of acknowledging that it's always been there. Kindness has always been there. Love, all of those things have been there. But perhaps we've been busy in so many other areas as individuals and not focused on it so much, in so much of an aspect of that, I'd say. But I do think things will change. I think certainly if I see how corporate life has changed over the years from well-being and mental health, and I know a couple of you on here are in that space, Zach's in that space, Yashin, you're also in that space. You know, the world has changed even in the workplace. So I think it's about us being open. It starts with ourselves. So if we're not being kind to ourselves, if we're not being kind to others, if we're not looking after our health, if we're not being compassionate and appreciating and being grateful for everything that we've got, the NHS and everything that we've got, then we're less likely to see that in the world. And I think more than ever, we need to be in community. We need to be accountable. And that's how I think things are going to change as we come out of this. I think we're going to realize that, do you know what, how I was hustling before isn't how I want to hustle now. I want to change my pace. But it starts with our own awareness. And do you know what tends to happen is only when something significant changes in our lives is then when we think, actually, I'm going to make a change in this area. And so why does it have to take something huge like this to happen for us to start appreciating kindness or compassion?
Have you got any kind of tips or advice or places where people can go to either engage with others or to feel like they're part of a community, or how they can, if they're used to feeding off the energy of other people, how they can get that at a time when we're you know, in a time of social distancing?
Okay, so good question there, and I've been at that place at several times of the loneliness and the isolation and the inspiration. But the key thing is the inspiration starts with you. So it's about you acknowledging, I want to feel more inspired each day. And so the feeling starts with you. And then creating a structure. So for those of you perhaps who aren't working at the moment, or if you live on your own, it's creating a structure that's right for you. So perhaps you say, do you know what, I'm going to make sure that every day I'm getting dressed and I'm showered. And that's the key thing. You know, I've been making sure that I'm getting dressed as if it's normal work every day. Because that we want to still feel like we've got a purpose. And if we're still sitting in our pajamas till 11, 12 o'clock, and look, don't get me wrong, there's some days at a weekend where I have relaxed a bit more, but I think in the working week, if we're not working or we're on our own, it's really making sure that we have got a routine and a schedule, and being really refined. Or maybe it's 9:30 that you get up. And then make sure that you connect. It might be that maybe you connect with your family, maybe you connect with, you say, I'm going to speak to two friends a day. I'm going to make sure that I FaceTime 2 friends a day. So start with that. And then also there's lots of communities on Facebook. So there's another free, which again, we could probably put in, we can put in a slide here. I know that there's a Cheltenham Wellbeing Isolation free Facebook group. There's obviously you've got a coffee and meet at 3:30, don't you? So just picking and choosing some of the things that you've got. We've got a happy wellbeing community. It is a paid one that you can join, but it's about finding the communities that are right for you, but also not overloading yourself. So there's some on LinkedIn that you can be part of, but it's identifying what do you want to feel in these communities? What do you want to get from these communities? And maybe you start with, for the rest of this week, I'm just going to connect with friends and old work colleagues. And then next week, it's going to be a different community, but just do it slowly. Don't just start small. And I think sometimes we want to get to that top of their stair. So that's what I'd probably encourage right now. Is by you having that focus and starting the day right. That very early morning will set you up for the day. And maybe having 3 things that you're going to focus on every day if you're not working at the moment, or if you are. Just often we want a list of 20 things, but focus on 3 things, whatever that is for that particular day. And at the moment, there's so many free things that you can access in this time in order to inspire yourself, in order to develop your mindset.
Somebody mentioned to me this week, and I can't remember whether it's somebody on this call, so I apologize if it is, that Chris Evans had said that he was writing a to-be list rather than a to-do list. And
that's a good one. I haven't heard of that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, it's all about, you know, the to-do list is the to-do list, and it will then be a to-do list to do, but actually right now it's thinking about how we want to look after ourselves and the things we want to do. If somebody is looking at looking after their well-being, how easy is it to make a start? Because I feel like there's so much that you've shared with us, but if we sort of take it back and say, right, today is the first day that I'm going to really concentrate and focus on my well-being, where do I start with that? What's
okay? So good question. So yes, there was lots of content in there, and actually even my team said, Kiki, because this is a mixture of lots of other web masterclasses that I've run, but I wanted to give you a lot of content because then it gets you to start thinking about things. So the first step I would say is go and either draw out the habit trackers that we'll send, or print it out, whatever's going to be right for you, and then make a commitment. So say to yourself, by 8 o'clock tonight, I'm going to have written out my habit tracker that I'm going to focus on for the next couple of weeks, or even until the end of April. And what's my intention and how do I want it to feel each and every day? So mine was calm, focused, and with intention and action. That's how I wanted to feel. So how do you want to feel? And then what is going to be your intention of using the habit trackers, and whatever that is going to be for your reason. And then literally deciding however many habits you're going to focus on each and every day, and get started in that. Making sure there's health looked after, mindset, creativity and learning, connection and community, and you yourself and your inner peace. Start there. But really acknowledge and making sure that, remember I said at the very beginning about your well-being, because it's about our well-being is us, as you know, you mentioned the to-do list and the to-be list, is we've also got to be well in all of those key areas, you know, in our physical, in our exercise, in our mental. So that's where I would start, and then I would just start to be disciplined in those key areas. It's not going to be easy. Some days you're going to have the crosses, but it's about getting started, because that's how it's going to help. So that would be my challenge with you, is get the habit tracker filled in by 8 o'clock tonight. Simple. Because otherwise you just won't do it. You won't do it. Or if that feels too much, because I do recognize that can feel a bit too much, is what are 3 things I'm going to focus on tomorrow for my well-being? What am I going to do differently tomorrow?
How with something like this that can seem kind of quite overwhelming, how does one find that willpower to make a start, and then to keep going? Because you said 21 to 90 days, and that can feel quite long.
So I would say it's that decision to start and to make that difference, but committing to it and saying that you're going to commit to it, and then being okay and kind to yourself if you don't do it some days. That's okay. You might fall off it for 2 weeks. That's okay, but not to give up. And I think I see so often as people giving up, but also maybe tweaking it a little bit. So is it perhaps maybe you might need to just change the time in which you are coming off social media, or when you're having your lunch, or whatever that is don't be afraid to deviate. Just don't give up. Don't give up, because we give up just before the magic is about to happen. And that willpower starts with you. So if you've made that commitment to yourself, then continue with it. Because if you think about it, you would still if somebody else for work asked you to do something, or a family member, or your child, or whatever that is, you would still do that. So why should it be different for yourself? And that comes back to the self-care and the self-love for ourselves and the more and more you do this, the more and more you're going to want to do it. And that will, because it's going to make you feel better. And also acknowledging how you feel. And so your body will tell you. So I know a few weeks ago, that's when I recognized, actually, I need to shift. I need to shift my daily habits. I need to shift my routine. I'm not feeling aligned, feeling like I'm quite stuck, feeling like I'm draining a little bit. So that's why I put the habits in. So really listening to your body, because your body will tell you that. And that's where the willpower comes, is continuing every day and thinking about it like running a marathon. It's a little bit. You decide to run the marathon. You're not going to literally run the marathon tomorrow. you're going to buy the gear, you're going to be disciplined with the time, it's going to take time, it's going to rain, you might not go on that run. And once you start this, and once you start igniting that passion within you, it's then going to start. The passion will be there. And then it's maybe being accountable. So saying to maybe a friend, I'm doing this, please keep me on track, and seeing how I'm getting on, how I need to focus on these key areas, and being accountable. But more importantly, to be accountable to yourself.
Kiki, I feel like you've shared an enormous amount with us, and there's some really lovely messages coming in on the chat.
Thank you for allowing me to share these things with you here, and any questions to both of us that you maybe didn't want to ask on here, my contact details will be on the slides. Please reach out for any questions or anything.
Yes, thank you very much indeed for giving up your time today, and thank you everybody for joining us on the call. Kiki is coming back next week for another session, so if you've enjoyed everything that you've heard today, which I have done, then please do join us, and you can sign up via the Eventbrite link. Please do keep checking back. We've got lots of well-being, we've got nutrition, we've got all sorts of things coming up to really support you at this time that you are in isolation. And don't forget, if anybody wants to come just for a general chit chat with us, 3:30 every day, they're having a coffee and chit chat, no agenda, not trying to solve any problems or anything like that, but if you just want a general chit chat, we do have our coffees every day. So thank you very much everybody, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for joining us.
Bye everybody.
Bye.